Well, let's get some more reaction to the Liberal Party's move to drop net zero from the party platform. And Dr Sophie Scamps is the independent MP for Mackellar in Sydney's Northern Beaches. And she joins us now. Dr Sophie, welcome back to News Breakfast.
Thank you.
Now, I spoke to you in your electorate ahead of the 2022 election for 7:30 at DY Beach, if I remember correctly. The coalition at that time was committed to net zero, but your campaign was so heavily focused on Barnaby Joyce and the Nationals, and you were effectively saying the Nationals run the climate policy for the coalition. Is that more true this morning?
Yes, I believe it is. I think it's very clear that it is the Nats who are dictating terms and pulling the strings in this coalition. And yeah, oh, how the mighty have fallen. It's sad to see, because I think the Liberal Party no longer knows who they represent or what they stand for. And they've been running around trying to create some sort of wedge to get themselves back into power. But you can't get yourselves back into power if you don't have a vision for our nation.
The Liberal Party claims it is committed to the Paris Agreement, but scientists warn that the current climate commitments that countries around the world have put forward are not enough to hit the warming targets in that agreement. Can you be committed to Paris while also committed to rolling back Australia's ambition in this space?
No, of course you can't. It's like saying if our country was being invaded, it's like saying, well, we don't want to act to defend ourselves, but we welcome victory if it happens. You need to have a clear plan. You need to have a clear target, and you need to have a vision of how our country will get there. So the Liberal Party is not providing a clear and strong opposition to what the Labor Party is doing. The Labor Party is doing the minimum amount that it needs to do, and we need a strong opposition to make sure that we are remaining committed to our 2050 target and that we will reach it.
There'll be some viewers watching this morning, and I'm sure they'll probably write into us and say, well, it doesn't matter what the coalition says on this because at the moment it looks like they're a fair way from government. But I'm curious as to your view on this. Does the abandonment of bipartisanship on net zero, given the long lead times of renewable energy projects, put the energy transition at risk, or at least create much more uncertainty than there has been?
Yes, it does create a huge amount of uncertainty because you can never be 100% confident what's going to happen in future elections. And we know that certainty is the exact thing that the business community has been calling for, and that's exactly what we need. We need bipartisanship, and unfortunately for decades now there hasn't been that bipartisanship except over the last sort of wee while, like last few years. But in the lead up, what our country needed, what the world needed, was bipartisan response to this huge and urgent crisis, and we just haven't seen that. So now we see a Labor Party who's doing the minimum amount to get us to reduce our emissions. What we do need is a strong opposition to hold them to account, and now that role has fallen to the crossbench.
I just wanted to ask about that before I let you go. Of course, you're just one voice in Parliament. Labor has a thumping majority, so your influence is actually fairly limited. Do you feel like you have this extra responsibility to focus much more on the government than maybe you might, given your electorate, because of the division and, well, frankly, chaos within the coalition over the past few weeks on this issue?
Yes, exactly, we do. We have a huge responsibility, and I think the crossbench has really taken on that responsibility of being the effective opposition, but really holding the government to account. That's our role. We hold them to account in Parliament House, but also in the media. We need to have a vibrant democracy. We need all sides represented strongly so that we do have this vibrant democracy, and we do have we make sure that our country is moving in the right direction, that we each have a vision for our nation. We can't just be flip-flopping around, creating this uncertainty. And so it is up to us to now hold the Labor government to account, and I think that we're doing a good job on that.
Sophie Scamps, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.
It was one of the interesting things ahead of the 22 election, and we are a bit out of date, but the number of people in her electorate in particular, we were there for a bit, that we met who came up to us and said effectively, we quite like our local member, which was then a Liberal, Jason Falinski, his name was. We quite like him, but we don't like where things are going. And a lot of it was around the memories of the Black Summer bushfires. And it was at that moment it started to be obvious that maybe something was going on. Who knows what's going to happen off the back of this decision by the coalition?
Yes, and we will talk about that a lot more throughout the programme.